Hi, friend. Welcome back to the pod. I am so excited for this episode and for you to meet this incredible leader and my friend Sheena, who is a Courage Lab grad. She raised $250,000 in the 6 months that we worked together in just 1 to 2 hours a week inside Courage Lab. And I am so excited for you to learn from her, to hear her story of how much she has overcome and how much she's done for young people who are struggling with mental health issues, which is a huge problem in our country. And she's an amazing fundraiser. She's such a kind person. She's one of the kindest people that you could meet. And I'm really excited for you to hear straight from her, her experience working together and the results that she's got. So, Sheena, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Julie, thanks so much for having me.
Woohoo! So, introduce yourself, share who you are, your title, where you work, and a little bit about what does your organization do.
Yeah, so my name is Sheena Grosshans. I am the Director of Key Relationships here at To Write Love on Her Arms. To Write Love on Her Arms is a nonprofit movement that was started almost 20 years ago. We exist to provide hope and help to people who are struggling with their mental health, and specifically for people who are struggling with depression, addiction, suicidal ideation, and self-harm. So, yeah.
Yeah, really important work. And how did you first find me? Do you remember?
I found you, just subscribe to a lot of different fundraiser resources, and it was a Bloomerang webinar that you were on.
Oh, yeah, Bloomerang. What's up, y'all? Oh, that's great. Yeah, that was maybe 2022, 2023. I want to say 22. Does that sound right?
Maybe, yeah,
End
maybe
of the
to,
year. It was like an end of year thing or something.
yep.
Yeah, that's great. And so, talk to me about your relationship to major gifts fundraising. Like before we started working together, you've had some experience fundraising, you've had success fundraising, you were having success at Twaloha in terms of mid-level donors and some major gifts. Like this wasn't completely foreign to you. So why do you feel like you needed Courage Lab at the time? How were things for you before we started working together?
Yeah, so I have been in development and fundraising for nonprofits pretty much for my entire career. I started volunteering at a nonprofit organization in college, and I remember very specifically one of the leaders saying, "Hey, we need someone to call people and ask them to donate for our gala. Would you be willing to do that?" And as a 19-year-old, I said, "Sure." And that's apparently very rare. So I started doing that and then just kind of haven't stopped, kept building more skills. I ended up getting hired at our local Habitat chapter and had a really wonderful mentor who poured everything into me when it comes to major gifts fundraising, kind of found a niche in grant writing and management. And so did that for a little bit, but really was always in development. So when I came on to Write Love, we didn't have an existing major gifts program at all. I always like to say that To Write Love is a bit of an anomaly in that we have, when we talk about being a grassroots movement, our ratios of the amount of $10 givers to the amount of large donors we had was unreal and not what a lot of other nonprofits experience. We really were functioning off the backs of our social capital, if you will. And so I was hired on to really build out and build diversity in our fundraising and build out this major gifts program, basically. So I started talking to some of the people that had given before, kind of had this sense of we need to upgrade some people who have shown capacity, but in being a part of building a whole program from scratch was really looking for more of a framework, a resource that I could say, like, here's how to do that. Here's how to do this. Here's how to talk. Here's kind of what I do as I'm training other people in our organization. And I felt like Courage Lab was just a really good fit for having that framework that I could teach my team, but also it ended up blessing me so deeply in other ways and growing my own skills and growing my own courage in what I was doing as well.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And I love that you kind of took on this role of teacher. Like whatever you were learning, you were also teaching that and translating it to your team and building a new culture internally. And that's what I think a lot of people do when they work with me. And that's what ends up happening. You become the leader of this new way of relationship based fundraising and teaching that philosophy and that method inside the org. And I think that you're a perfect example of that. So you're building this major gifts program from scratch. And what kind of like mindset or beliefs or struggles, challenges were you guys dealing with when it came to major gifts before?
Yeah, I think you talk a lot about approaching major gifts from this angle of generosity, and generosity is a gift, generosity is an honor, and I think that because we had really been so like bootstraps, as an organization, really were just approaching our major donors in this way of, if you could please, maybe you sort of might give to us, and
Yeah.
really just working with you helped enunciate like, no, like we can be more bold. And I think even for me realizing like, what is it that I really believe about this organization, what is it that I really believe about the work that I'm doing, and kind of allowing our organization and even just me personally to realize like, do I think that we're one of the best, or do I think that we're the best, you know
Mm.
that's going to change how I talk to people. And so I realized, like, no, I think that we are the best mental health organization for youth and young adults. I think that we are doing the best job of destigmatizing the mental health conversation. I think that we are one of the only nonprofits that are doing activations and reaching people where we are on Twitch at music festivals through our Trojan Horse like merchandise. That is really just a conversation starter through our artist collaborations. Like, no, we are the best organization and we need to start acting like it. We need to start communicating to our donors that that's what we do. And so when we go in to ask, it's not, can you maybe sort of, it's, this is what we're doing. We're changing the world. We're saving lives. We have the receipts to prove it. So come join us because it's really fun in here. And really, like, it's an honor to get to be a part of our future. So, yeah, that was a big change.
Boom! Let's go. That is so good. I don't know about you listening, but I can hear the conviction. I can feel the heart, the leadership. That's what donors are looking for.
Mm.
And when you're unapologetic and vague and indirect, it's so hard to raise money. You're putting the onus on the donor to read your mind, to read between the lines. Do they want me to donate? Do they want me to volunteer? What do they mean by support? Can they count on me? What does that even mean? What do they need? I don't even know. I'm confused. See ya. I'm going to click out of this email,
Mm.
right? It's like when we're direct, we're going to get where we're wanting to go faster. It makes sense, right? It's like, and you're so right. There's no reason to be apologetic. What you're doing matters. You're making a difference. It's working, period. What we're doing is kick ass awesome. If you want to be a part of that, it's going to bring meaning and joy and purpose and fulfillment and impact into your life. And having that mindset and that posture in your heart when you approach this work literally changes your results from a 180, right?
Yeah.
It's like now people are, I'm sure, drawn to and attracted to that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's been really evident, in a lot of the donors that we've talked to. And I think, it always starts with relationship, it always starts with that, having that trust, but inviting donors to be a part of something and even inviting them in a scary way, of like, hey, I'm going to ask you to really step up here. I'm going to ask you to really invest in our future because we've got really big goals. but look at what we did with this little amount that you gave us. Like, what if we did more and you gave us more? I think casting that vision has been really exciting.
Yeah. So let's talk about numbers. Let's talk about some of the results and how much you raised and what are some of like the big gifts people want to know. They're nosy.
Yeah.
They're nosy. They want to know.
Yeah.
Some of the largest gifts that you ask for. What did you end up getting? How did that go for you? What'd you learn? Give us the juice.
Yeah, I think this idea of follow up, and you teach this a lot, just like follow up is not based on how that donor responds. It's really based on here's the actions that I'm going to take. And even in the follow up, saying, if I don't hear from you, this is what I'm going to do. I think that was really empowering, and really just reframed like how I interacted with donors. So I can think of one donor who had been giving for a while. Just very passionate. Her daughter had a connection to us, and I reached out, wanted to see if we could talk a little bit more about her investment. And it was crickets for 6 months. But I just said, I'll reach out to you next month if I don't hear,
Yeah.
like literal crickets.
Yeah.
She knew that she was kind. Like a lot of other people in our organization had had interactions with her before. And so I was like, okay, I have trust. Like, this isn't a mean thing, but I'm just going to be faithful and do exactly what I said. She reached out and finally, after 6 months, was like, it has been so crazy. I broke my foot and my son did this and all this, whatever, thank you. And was so grateful. She's like, thank you for sticking with me. I love hearing about everything that's happening at this organization. What can we talk about? And so she actually gave us a seed gift that launched a fundraiser in her city that is now raising $40,000 a year for us. And so that, like, she gave us
Wow.
that 10,000. It's grown and she is planning on giving a lot more. So that was just like a really cool thing for me of just encouraging that, when you don't hear back, just keep going. It's so little time to just like have a follow-up email and say, I'm just going to do that, and so I think that that was really encouraging. I also think of another donor who had kind of flagged just in their capacity. They had given a $500 one-time gift to a CrossFit fundraiser at their gym. And so had called them, followed up, heard that they were longtime supporters, had never really given, but just knew about us for a while. Over the course of the conversation, ended up talking them into being monthly givers and then upgrading their annual gift. And now they're $20,000 a year donors. So really, really exciting.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so you picked
And
up the phone. Why'd you call somebody who gave 500 bucks? Like a lot of people would be like, "Oh, isn't that too small of a gift? That's not a major gift. Why would I don't have time to call all $500 donors." Or for some people it's,
yeah.
I don't have time to call all of the $50 donors or 100, $200 donors. And I think there's a misconception
Mhm.
about major donors and who they are, right? And that if somebody gives 500 bucks, they're not a major donor. So why did you decide to call that person who randomly gave at this fundraising event at their gym?
Yeah.
And how did you come to realize that they had 20K capacity? Like what happened there?
So it really was, just looking at kind of their location. They were located in a wealthier area, kind of knowing what the fundraiser was, like the gym, was kind of at a different level. And yeah, really just looking at that location, that area, I had kind of looked up that individual and seen that they were a business owner of a couple different businesses in the area. And so it just were all really good indicators, their health,
Uh-huh.
of just their wealth. They also were peers to me, which is honestly just, it's so easy to talk to peers and already kind of with our organization, just like a general sense of like an affinity of kind of where they came from. And so, yeah, having that conversation was really, really easy. And as far as just, asking those questions, where do you vacation, kind of finding out a little bit about them, kind of revealing a little bit more of their capacity. But I really took your framework of saying, like, are we your favorite charity? And it revealed to me that they said, yeah, you're in our top four. And so I was like, okay, cool. Well, what does that look like when it comes to giving, you know? And so it really, I think, was encouraging to them to they kind of realize, oh, like I really can kind of think through like what does it mean for me to give to my top four. So I'd like to think it even benefited some other organizations, you know, but like that, you know, what does it mean for me to give meaningfully, you know? But then I stayed in contact with them throughout the year of just sharing different stories. I kind of found out, you know, what are the things that are really exciting about our organization. So when it came time to upgrade them to have that conversation, they said, we're so grateful and we feel like we're such a part of the mission. We feel like we're such a part of, you know, you've just called us every other month. You've sent us stories and pictures every other month of the things that you've done. And so, yeah, of course we want to be a part of this. Like, we love you guys. And so, yes, they were like, we'll think about it and we'll get back to you. And then they're like, yeah, that sounds great. We're going to do it, you know? So I think that
Nice.
yeah, that was just really taking that like little like seed and using all of the context clues that I could, and then kind of growing with like what they were giving me and just reciprocating that like effort, but caring for them really well. Just saying, you know, you care about this organization, and so here are the things, here are the stories that I know you want to hear, you know. So yeah.
Wow. Well done. That's so cool. I love that you did that. And like sharing the steps too, I think is really helpful for people. I hope you're taking notes. This is really good. Okay. So in 6 months, you raised,
250,000.
and that was from upgrading current donors, getting new donors, like this supporter who started one of your events, the 5K that is now bringing in 40K a year for you. Like that all happened through both people you know and people who are new to you, right? And then what would you say, like working together, what were some of your biggest aha moments or your biggest breakthroughs, biggest lessons learned, let's say, and that you kind of that sticks with you even now?
Yeah, I think when I think being bold, that was a really big like reframework. I think realizing like I need to communicate to our team this idea like let's start with the assumption that people are so jazzed to be generous with us. Let's just start from that framework and not like and recognizing it's like a false humility to kind of come and say like if you have anything, we'll take it, you know, and like realizing like the most humble thing we can do is really just be honest about what we are, about what we do, the impact that we have, and invite others into it, steward that well, you know. So really just changing that framework, I think, is still like evolving for our organization, but really exciting. I think that you know, we're celebrating our 20th year next year, and I see our organization take big steps with that. Like, we've launched a big vision goal of increasing mental health care access in a big way. And I think that comes with kind of having that confidence of realizing, like, no, this is what we do. This is what we do. This is what we've done. And so I think for me, that boldness has continued to just be a lesson, but also realizing like I've still got more courage to go yet. Like there there are places that I think I still am just a little nervous and like maybe like, ooh, okay, I gotta just say it, I gotta just do it, and then like shut up, you know? So yeah, it's just realizing like I have still more courage. There are areas in my life, like areas in this work and relationships that I have that I could be even more courageous with. And so, which I think is a really exciting place to be, knowing like there's still, you know, more to do. So that was really big for me. And then I think that, you know, like I said, like that follow-up process of really just understanding like this is what I'm going to do and it's not going to change. And that has been incredible for our donors to realize like this girl's consistent, you know? And I think it just has helped build a lot of trust to have like continual conversation. That way, like whether or not they're even responding to me, they feel like they know the organization because I've been just consistent in saying like we're going to do what we said we're going to do. So, yeah.
So good. Oh my gosh. Ooh, I hope that people follow that. It's everything. Let's talk about how you manage your time. I think something that's interesting and of course is a challenge for everybody. And if you've been listening to this podcast, you know that I freaking hate talking about hats and plates. I mean, my God, we get it, right? We have a lot of hats that we wear. We're wearing all the hats. We're spinning all the plates, or we have a lot on our plate. I'm like, uh. So before Courage Lab, right? In your role, your title is like Director of Key Relationships. Is that right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that, I mean, potentially could be like a catch-all. And a lot of fundraising roles are, right? It's a catch-all. It's like, well, it's grant writing, it's, mass market, it's marketing, it's comms, it's major gifts, it's recurring donors, it's events, it's a 5K, it's a gala, it's a right, here we go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
people think that they're special in this regard, and they're not.
Mhm.
I mean, pretty much everybody is doing too much.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I'm not like, sometimes there's a bit of nuance. There's, superlatives aren't helpful, but am going to say that everyone is doing freaking too much. I mean, is it fair to say that that was kind of the case for you? You were doing all the things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I
And
think
so
that
you did something interesting. You changed your role when you started Courage Lab. That's not a requirement in being in my program. Like I don't tell people, hey, when you join, you're gonna have to restructure your job description. But that's what you did. You advocated for yourself, as I understand it, and correct me if I'm wrong anywhere. You restructured your job, the responsibilities that you were doing, the things that were on your calendar, the things that you were overseeing and managing and executing on. You restructured that. You advocated for yourself to say, hey, I need to get this and this off my plate now, and I need
Mhm.
to do this instead. And you said that you made the case to refocus your role to be major gifts, focused on that. Of course, that wasn't the only thing that you did, but and that you shifted some things when it came to grant writing, when it came to contractors, when it came to team infrastructure. And so, talk about that because number one, it's very relatable and people need the juice on how to do that. They need to understand that it's possible to do that, right?
Mhm.
And that I'm curious to know how that impacted you and your quality of life and you enjoying your job and the changes that you saw because you made that decision to change what you were doing day to day. You made time. So
Mhm.
how did you do that? Can you
Mhm.
walk us through that, Sheena?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think I want to start with I just have really wonderful leadership that was just really responsive, and it was like an ongoing conversation. I think when it comes to grants is so hard because, and I think a lot of people like feel this, right? Like you can spend so many hours on different grants and it's really just a toss up. Like who knows what's going to come in. And so really I could have had a full-time job of just grant writing, but like when you're looking at scaling up, when you're looking at really getting goals and reaching goals, it's just like it's not grants is not it. Like it's something that I agree needs to happen. I think that there's a really good use case for our organization, like being dedicated to grants, but it was just becoming overwhelming when it came to like that being my responsibility. And having the experience in it, I think I was also ready to just help and fall into that, but then was able to have honest conversations with my leadership along the way of just saying, this is taking up a lot of my time and it's kind of defeating when it doesn't come in. It just, I wanted to be able to see like forward momentum and just to be able to have like scalable like wins, So had talked through what that might look like to shift some of the grants off my plate. And really, when you talk about like advocated, it's just really made the case. I was like, I think it's just going to be worth it for us to look at having a contractor to grant write for us. And so that was huge. And really, I think it was a good level of trust with leadership, but also just kind of saying, I want to be able to make money that like feels a little more sure, And so if you can just like bank on me and say like with that time that I'm going to get back, like it's going to be able to be used in a good way, like let's go and pay this other person to kind of do the unsure things. So that was really huge. And then when you talk about just like restructuring the role, I kept kind of hearing your voice like in my head too. I'm just like, it's not making me money, And so it's just with every meeting and every event and everything, and every like, can you be a thought partner here? Just like, but I'm not making money if I'm doing this. And so really just starting to advocate for less meetings. Like, what can we do instead of having a meeting every week or even like an hour meeting every other week? Can we have a 20-minute stand-up meeting on Mondays? And so and that has been just so effective, for our organization. And, instead of having all these other systems, what if we just did this one system, where we had this one person kind of take care of, our reporting, and this one person take care of like stewardship, like all these different, like we just really kind of honed in on creating better efficiency. And again, that comes with amazing leadership, like from our organization, but really just working together to seeing how can we be more efficient with the resources that we have and kind of allow more breathing space to do the asks that we needed to do.
Yeah. That's so good. So it sounds like you got grant writing off your plate. You hired a contractor to do that. That freed you up time. Then you reduced internal meetings. You shortened them or you eliminated them. You created different systems for communicating with your team so that you didn't have to meet as often. Is that accurate?
Mhm.
Fabulous. Can you give an estimate of how much time you think you freed up weekly as a result of doing those things?
A bit. Um,
Like if you could guess a ballpark, how many hours a week?
yeah, I mean, maybe like 5 to 7 like hours a week. Significant, like
Yeah.
really significant.
And
Yeah.
so looking back on that, are you glad that you did it when you did? And, because some people are thinking about Courage Lab, but their biggest barrier is time, right? They're
Mm,
like, I just cannot squeeze anything else. Even though I'm like, look, you don't need a ton of time. You only need 2 hours a week. If you can't pull off 2 hours a week, then like you're not actually ready to raise more money.
mm,
But even that can feel so challenging for people because they can't imagine adding anything, right? But you had the wisdom to remove the stuff that needed to go and made time for this. And obviously it paid off. Um, what would you say to somebody who's like, well, let me just get everything ready first and then I'll join Courage Lab. I need to get better systems. I need to change these things and then I'll join later. Do you think that's wise? What would you tell people who are in that place you were in where you're doing all these jobs and it's feeling overwhelming?
mm. I think the the biggest, well, most helpful thing was having feeling like I just had other people in my corner as a justification, and so not that I didn't and not that there wasn't like incredible support, but sometimes when someone else is saying it, it just feels better to reiterate that, like you say all the time, like meetings are not making you money, so what could you do instead? And so really just reiterating that, like, what could we do instead? Like, what if we like got rid of this and what could we do instead? And so that, yeah, it's just like having a coach in your corner. You can go to the gym and work out by yourself. When you have someone like screaming at you, like, do one more, like you just feel like I can do one more. Okay. And so it's that, really just having someone in your corner who can just be motivational for you. So, I mean, if you think that you can go and do it by yourself and that you're going to be the motivation enough, then do it now, But if you don't, then start so that you have someone who can help you do the things that you want to do. And I feel like that really, like when you talk about having Courage Lab and having coaching from you, like that really is like the coaching part that like, okay, we know all these things that we need to do. Like I knew we had too many meetings. Like I knew that I needed to shift my time. And but like just having you say it, I was like, okay, she said it. So now I gotta go do it. Like, remember, like we were all in that call where she said it. So let's do it. I think that was just really helpful. So yeah.
Got it. Yeah, that's really helpful. Okay, so last thing, what would you say to someone who's thinking about Courage Lab and weighing if this is right for them? What would you advise that person? Maybe they are an executive director or a development director. Maybe they lead a small team. Maybe they're a solo fundraiser who doesn't have a lot of support and they're wondering if this is right for them, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, I think that if you are in a place where you have a big vision and you see a goal and you're ready to grow, and you're just not sure how to get there, you're not sure how to train others to get there, then Courage Lab is a great tool because they get access to coaching. I think the network that I've built through being in Courage Lab continues to this day. That's been really encouraging and helpful for me just to see other people and just to have other people that I can even just reach out to or just see what they're doing on LinkedIn and just be encouraged by, and be a cheerleader and have other people who are cheerleading me on. That's been really wonderful. But I think, yeah, if you're just really ready to scale up and really ready to just build boldness and really hone in and define your vision for the future, then Courage Lab is a good fit because it's going to take a lot of courage, so yeah, I think it's very, very appropriately named. And I think that I gained so much out of it in just learning all the different areas of myself that I could grow in boldness, could grow in more direct communication, could grow in efficiency that I didn't even think I needed. So it was a huge blessing to me. Yeah.
Oh, you're a blessing. It was it was just pure joy working with you. You are such a kind, loving, and intelligent person and really a great fundraiser. You're a great fundraiser, Sheena. And I mean, you could probably teach a lot of this stuff to other people. I mean, I love that you have been doing that with your team, which is fabulous. I mean, that's as it should be. One thing I forgot to ask you about that I know was also impactful was your board. So before Courage Lab, right, that was kind of a challenging area was engaging the board, activating the board, getting the board to be helpful in relation to fundraising. How do you engage the board in fundraising? Approaching that conversation, like how do we gauge their willingness or their appetite? How do we, board members are busy people, right? And so within Courage Lab, right, we had that 2-day board boot camp. I remember your board chair came, I think, or was it your board chair?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was our
And
our, our secretary, I think. So, or treasurer.
okay, that's right. And so board officers came and, board leadership and really curious how your board is doing now. I know that like some folks were active, some folks were less active. What is that looking like now? Can you kind of describe to us that transformation?
Yeah, yeah. Gosh, I really think so. When we had Courage Lab, it was our ED, and then myself and another member of our team that participated. And kudos to our ED. I think she really took a lot of what you said to heart. They were all kind of things. I had come from various different exposures to boards, but had always had incredibly active boards. Came from one organization where like the board was a little too active, and a little too controlling, maybe, but very into it.
Sure.
And I think that, when I looked at To Write Love, like we had a long way to go in just like what we were asking of our board to do, more so than just like signing off and saying like great job, but really just like being an active part of growing our donor base. And you were so clear and just like either get on or get out, and I think Edie, like, she really took that to heart and just having our team like encourage her, like, really did like just say, okay, let's transform it. And so we've added so many board members this year. I think we've added 6 board members this year, and each one was onboarded with this like, this is active. You are going to bring your network. You are going to bring your fundraisers. You are going to bring the people that give money. And this is a part of what it means to join the board. And so it's been really cool to see those. We now have a fundraising committee on our board that meets. They are responsible for we have like a leads list. They're responsible for just looking at that leads list, for encouraging the other board members to provide leads for that list. And so it just, we still have a long way to go, but gosh, it feels like a really fresh and a really good start in the right direction and with people that are passionate and have been onboarded in this like very specific framework of you're going to help and you're going to like dig your sleeves up and you're really going to provide support for us. So that's been really transformational. And I think it's been really supportive to our ED this year, which has been wonderful. So, yeah.
Wow. OMG. Six new board members. They're active in fundraising. You have a fundraising committee. They've generated a leads list. Can you give us a ballpark of how many people are on that leads list so far? Do you have any idea?
Mm, maybe like 40, 30 or 40 or so. So on the leads list, I want to say, yeah. Yeah, we've had a couple of really good meetings like from that too. And I think that as the board members are seeing us like in, action like for these meetings, it's just creating more trust and kind of getting them more excited about, oh, I could ask this other person too. And so that's really fun.
Oh my gosh. I could run through my apartment right now, up and down the hall like a crazy person. Oh my gosh, that I'm so elated to hear that. I am so I like I could cry. Like
Yeah.
that is so good. That's as it should be.
Mhm.
And it's just the beginning. Like you're going to get because that kind of energy creates momentum and it attracts more people like that.
Mhm.
Right?
Mhm.
The best way to attract energetic, active, helpful people is to be an energetic, helpful, active person, right? And so when you speak to people like that on the board, like, hey, we know you want to be active. We know you want to be helpful. We know you want to do this and be supportive. And then you give them the tools to do it and
Mhm.
the guardrails, if you will, right? Like a guide, like, hey, here's what this means. Here's what we're looking for. They're like, oh, okay, got it. I can do that, right? And then those kinds of things come out of the board. That active, engaged, helpful, proactive, supportive in fundraising, generating leads, making introductions, start going to you, going on meetings with you, that kind of behavior comes from that type of leadership, right? Which is why I always say donors step up when you do.
Mhm.
And you're proof of that. Sheena, you stepped up, then your team started stepping up, then your board started stepping up, right? It's like somebody had to say, hey, it's time to change it. What we're doing is good, but it could be great.
Yeah.
Let's make some changes. It's going to pay off.
Yeah.
And I am so, oh my gosh, this is such good news. I'm so glad that you came on the podcast today, Sheena. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm sure that, there's so much more you could talk and teach about as well with all of this work because this is what you live and breathe every day and you're so great at it. Um, Thank you for trusting me as your coach and support. It's an honor. And I really believe in what you all are doing. And I believe in you and Lindsay and your team to get it done. You guys have an amazing track record and the results and all of the young people, the thousands of young people that rely on your help.
Mhm.
It's amazing. So I know that all of this revenue translates to saving lives,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And that's not a small thing. This is why we're here on this earth, right? Is to help one another, to serve people, to love them, to let them know they're not alone. That's why we're here. That's what this is all about. So truly like thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey and to play a small role in your success. And I'm so excited for the future for you guys. I'm so excited for your 20th anniversary, for your
Mhm.
big vision, for all of the amazing work you're gonna do in the future. I mean, you're gonna be getting all of these board applications and people like, I want to be on your board. And you're going to be like, whoa. So, good luck with that.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of work. Maybe you will have to hire someone to sort through all of your board applications. That would be a great problem to have, right? Um,
Great.
but thank you so much for your time and for this conversation. And, if people want to reach out to you, where can they find you? Like if they want to say like, hey, this was really encouraging or I learned something, um, where would you direct people to go?
Yeah, they can always just email me. Our website, www.twloha.com. Our acronym to write love on her arms is great. It'd be fun for everyone to go and check out what we're doing there too. But yeah, I'm available. My contact info is listed on our team page on our website. So yeah, I can be reached out that way. LinkedIn is great. Julie, you encouraged me to like get on LinkedIn every day, so LinkedIn's a great place to reach me and find me. Lots of fun happening on there. But yeah, always happy to talk and to chat and just also fangirl over how awesome Julie is. So
Oh God, okay. Uh, well, I don't know about that last part. We'll edit that out. Thank you so much. So grateful for you. So excited for you. And I hope that y'all took notes. And if you didn't, then you can go back and rewind, okay, and get out your pen and paper. Because there's some nuggets in there. Y'all need to catch it, okay? Sheena, you're amazing. Thanks again. So grateful.
oh, it's an honor for me to be here. Thanks, Julie. We have been so impacted by your coaching. We refer back to the tools you gave us all the time, the messaging, the ideas, our generosity code, all of it. We refer back to all the time. It's really made an impact on our organization. And so we're just really grateful for you too.
Woohoo! Thanks.